Hello. My name is Riley Aether Varus Calhoun-Sikes. Yes, that is a very long name, but I have intentionally chosen it that way because I have an identity and I have a name further beyond any of the trauma I have sustained and the stories that I share. Today, I am going to be both hands on the wheel, head facing forward, but I'm going to be telling you about why, out of today, of all days, I decided to make public the two-part OnisionKai story from 6 years ago. And that is because 6 years ago, in 2020, there were a lot of people who were trying to open up about their dissociative identity disorders, which are trauma-based dissociative disorders that you develop in childhood and early development, all right? And in 2020, a lot of those kids were relentlessly bullied off of the internet because people did not want to believe that the world could be so horrible and cruel to children that it could cause en masse dissociative disorders. However, as we are now seeing with certain files that have been released, and as certain individuals are becoming or are being arrested for the crimes that they committed and have been brought to the attention of the world through these files, we are going to have to go and start looking at where were the signs. How did this go underneath the radar? People like Onision went under the radar. Why? How? Well, in my story, you will hear, and I now, you know, if you've been watching any of my videos the past couple of weeks, you know I do one shot. I don't edit, I don't cut, because I need to be authentic, I need to be real, and we do too much editing, we do too much cutting. We don't just express what's actually going on and what we actually think. We polish it up for the internet. No, I'm not doing that. So I need the world to realize that Onision is an individual that back in 2020 was being actively investigated for grooming and for tons of abuses that he did to so many individuals, most of them being underage. Onision ran multiple forums where grooming would take place and where perverts would go to find children. Multiple forums, and whenever one forum would go down, more would take its place. This was organized, and children were groomed into thinking that participating was fun. That is grooming. They were groomed. You watch my two videos from 6 years ago, and you can see, even then, as I am fighting the programming so that I can share these things that happened to me as a child, this being one individual with his own personal forums to do all types of procuring of images for his own sick entertainment, for his own collections. And that is not even mentioning all of the people that he filmed and humiliated actively in his life, that he kept chained in his basement, that he forcibly defeminized, shaving their heads and posting it, claiming it's skits and ha ha ha, it's silly. At the same time as grooming underage girls en masse online. Why am I bringing this up now? Well, because in a world where people like Jeffrey Epstein are able to get away with shit, you have to wonder, where was the competition? Well, Onision was one of the competitors. He figured out how to develop online forums to collect images of children, to mock them. It was because of Onision that so many children in middle school and high school in the early 2000s were completely obsessed with self-harm and severely neglectful body image when it comes to starving yourself, because what that sick man made it a fucking joke, made it entertainment to get online and make it a competitive game for kids to submit their images of self-harm with his name on them. Very similar to what? Cut for Bieber. Bieber being the bait to get images of self-harm of young women. Where did those images go? Who procured those fucking images? And who sold them to who? Onision was a fucking bone crusher. If all of these predators are predators the way that I see hyenas, then Onision, out of all of them, he wasn't clever. He was no type of alpha. He was not in charge. He wasn't anything special. He was a bone crusher at the bottom who figured out a way to have a procuring forum so that he could get underage children images with harm and pain on their body. Why? Because it was his trading chip to get into the bigger groups. How did he know about this? He was ex-military. James Jackson, also known as Greg Jackson, was ex-military. Short-ass motherfucker. I could be eye level with him right now. I could probably take him, and I am a disabled piece of shit, motherfucker. But that man was under investigation in 2020. That man is a huge reason that so many dissociative systems have fucking bananas in their goddamn deep hidden files. Deeply repressed. Deeply traumatized. And so many of those kids who are now survivors, adult survivors, these are not child victims, I must remind you, we are adult survivors, have been trying to tell adults for years that sickos like this exist. And where has the help been? Where has the belief been? Where has the system been when the FBI was investigating that man and had the evidence of multiple women? And some guy put it on his personal laptop, thus jeopardizing the entire case and it being thrown out and under the rug. And what do we hear about Onision now? Nothing. Nothing. It's crazy that also was happening right when people were going to prison for what was happening in the files. Crazy. Crazy how that fucking lines up. Crazy how Onision, a competitor in the industry that Jeffrey Epstein worked in so proficiently, and it's amazing that it got swept under the rug. It's amazing that after 6 years, suddenly the world is aware that there are sickos who like to see and like to participate actively in the grooming, harming, and killing of children all across the world. Because guess what? Onision was a global YouTube sensation throughout the early 2000s. He was one of the biggest. He was one of the biggest. Shane Dawson filmed with him. Joey Graceffa filmed with him. Jax Films filmed with him at one point. Now, Jax Films has said the guy is weird. Everyone on the internet, if you look up Onision, will say Onision is weird. People watching his old videos will say, well, of course, clearly. But when we were kids, and he was intentionally appealing to us the same way that, I don't know, Nickelodeon was made to appeal for kids, but was also grooming children. Ah! And I am intentionally filming in my car, yet again, as I am taking myself to a doctor's appointment to finally treat myself, my physical body, for the harm that I have sustained at the hands of grown-ass adults who were either participating in my harm, encouraging my harm, or neglecting my harm. I am the first adult in my life to take my situation seriously, and so many adult survivors are for the first times in their life able to be the first adult in their life to help themselves. Because I need to remind you, these adult survivors were once child victims, abused, traumatized, groomed into believing that competing to be chosen was a gift and a blessing. That it was cool if Lainey would message you on Snapchat. Like, it was cool that a grown adult man was wearing a Bieber cut, not only to hide his receding hairline, but to appeal to a youthful audience. It's crazy. It's crazy that a man can chain women in his basement and shave them and make films to post online about it, and he just gets to go and be left alone. No justice. So I am putting on blast 6-year-old videos of a man who should have gotten his justice years ago, but because of a system that is designed to protect predators that was already protecting other higher players in the same competitive industry of trading children, it got swept away, it got neglected, it got ignored. Not by me. Not by other adult survivors of being child victims to stupid predatory adults. And you know what? I fucking hate bananas. I hate bananas. The only time I ever eat bananas are when I am in such a dissociative state that I need something to trigger me to realize that there is nothing grosser than a banana on this planet. Because otherwise, I will be stuck in a trauma loop. Because why? Bananas make me viscerally nauseous. Because of that fucking man dancing around like a moron on the internet saying, I'm a banana, copyright me, I don't care, I don't make any money off this shit, I'm a broke bitch, copyright me Onision, copyright me Greg, I dare you. What are you gonna have me take down? Because I'm sharing my own personal experience that I have the screenshots of. I'm not talking badly about you. I'm simply stating fucking facts. Besides, the case got fucking dropped, didn't it? So, as Onision is daring to try and return to the internet, I don't care what platform it is on. I don't fucking care. That man doesn't deserve any platforms. He needs to be in jail. He needs to be away from his own children. He shaved women and shamed them in his basement. He created and facilitated multiple forums for perverts to target children. And he got off scot-free. Walking around as free as Ghislaine. Ain't that fucking wild? Ain't that fucking wild? Allegedly. But yeah. So there is the third and final conclusion of my Onision story. I hope that if this is your first time hearing about the man, you look up his history on the internet and you see the type of person that he is. Because if you didn't believe people like Jeffrey Epstein and everyone in those files could even be real, they've been real. And we've been trying to tell you for a really long time that people like this, sick weirdos exist, and they trade children like currency to get themselves, I don't know. I don't actually know what they get. I don't know what all of these different people are competing for. I don't know who's buying it. I don't know who's selling it. But I know that they have figured out that there's a market, and they're trying to corner the market with blackmail and with images and with children. And Onision was one of the people who procures for this market. He was a shitty one. He was a low-level one. He was, imagine drug dealers, right? Out of all of the drug dealers that you knew in high school, he was the rich Nepo white one that didn't actually know what he was doing, but was trying really hard to sell the hard stuff. He didn't know how to do it smart. Of course he was getting caught. But of course, the other drug dealers are going to help cover him, because if he gets busted, they get busted. But that's just the basics of the economics of this type of crime syndicate shit. Allegedly. So, thank you for listening. Thank you for watching. I'm going to go and get my broken neck and spine adjusted, because people like this physically broke my body. They physically broke my body. And I, at the good old age of 28, am handicapped. I have to walk around with a cane because of other people. That has nothing to do with Onision. Onision just fucked me up mentally and gave me self-image issues and made me believe that the treatment that I was receiving and the competitive nature that I was participating in was regular and normal, and it was encouraged en masse by his cult-like following, which again, they were all groomed. It's not their fault. They were groomed. But I have to go and fix my body from the harm that was done to it, that I had no active choice in participating in, that I have to live with every day. And that's not including the Lyme disease. That's not including the mental trauma that I have sustained from the church or from any individuals, none of which I am accusing, none of which I am associating to any specific things. I'm talking solely about the physical trauma that my body sustained from people who took advantage of me as a child and used me as a token to trade with as a child, and used me as an experiment as a child. Now that people might actually listen, thanks to the files. Remember, to be good, be kind, be nice, and fuck ice.